So you've decided to scrap that 500-hour save to start fresh for 1.0. Or perhaps you're new to this awesome community and are looking to get off to the best start. Well, this is the video for you. Though this isn't a starter tutorial covering everything that you need to know about getting started, I will be sharing tips and tricks that will make your early game that much easier for you. Also, if you are looking for a starter tutorial to get you started, then do keep an eye out for my channel. I'll be releasing one of those in the next few days. So first off, as you start crafting items by hand, you can toggle the crafting by pressing once on the spacebar. Though you shouldn't rely on handcrafting long term, I do recommend as early as possible to start automating each item, even if it isn't an efficient line, as this will just help you to build a buffer of items whilst you're building or exploring. And whilst exploring, you'll need to collect biomass to run your generators. Here you can hold E whilst picking up an item to continue collecting all the leaves and wood that you see. Also, collecting placer deposits of resources is a really good idea. For example, resources like Caterium and Quartz will allow you to research their technological trees in the MAM once you've unlocked that, allowing you to unlock Blade Runners and also Smart Splitters really quickly. With us now having automated biomass burners, you can connect a storage unit and use splitters to split biomass between multiple generators. But to save you traveling back and forth for fuel, turn those leaves and wood that you collect into biomass and then solid biofuel, as it's much more efficient. And don't worry, after the first space elevator tier, you will be able to fully automate power using coal generators, which is why I highly recommend making a beeline for that when you first start out. Now, when you first start out, it is easy to feel a little overwhelmed with so much to do. So I do recommend keeping everything simple. Focus on unlocking all of the tier 1 research first. Base building will allow you to organize and keep your factory clean by placing everything on foundations. Logistics will allow you to split and merge factory lines, and field research allows you to research those new items such as the Blade Runners in the quartz tree that I just mentioned. After that, I'd work on part assembly, which allows you to start producing smart plates, allowing you to unlock the next tier in the space elevator. The rest can be unlocked as you see fit. Now, when unlocking hub milestones, you can fill the requirements without dragging the individual stacks to the milestone by just holding down the left shift and pressing the left mouse button. There are many other useful shortkeys as well, such as holding left control and then clicking left mouse button will move all of that item to the other storage. Right mouse button splits a stack in half, and holding right click allows you to split the stack according to your own ratios. To help with organizing yourself in the early game, you can also use the in-game to-do list. Press tab to open your inventory, then move your mouse to the right of the screen until you see a gray gradient appear, and then left click. You can then type reminders for yourself or others in the game. Now, when it comes down to building on foundations creates a grid to work from, whereas on the ground it's a freely placed building, and this makes organizing factories much harder, which is why we recommend doing it on the foundation grid. You can also build on the world grid by holding control when placing foundations on the bare earth. This will allow you to easily connect factories across the world, though do be warned, if you're using a 1 meter foundation rather than a 2 or 4 meter foundation, your factories will have half a meter height distance difference, but this can be easily blended thanks to a ramp. Now, to help with building large walls or foundations, you can zoop them, allowing you to place 10 items at a time in a line, either vertically or horizontally. To activate, click or hold R and then select the build mode. Now, if you're working with pipes, this also gives you the different pipe styles to work with, such as horizontal to vertical, which is my favorite pipe build for keeping everything clean and tidy. Buildings with inputs and outputs can be snapped in line by holding left control when placing. The line that is revealed between two buildables means that they are aligned to one another, and you can also snap a hologram in place and nudge it by pressing H, then using the arrow keys. You can make the increments of nudge shorter by holding control whilst you're doing that, and this can be really useful for design or just getting buildables in line. As your logistics get more complicated, you'll need to run conveyors or pipes around your factory. To do easy 90-degree turns, place down your conveyor or pipe support, then place the next support 2 places in front, followed by 2 places to the side. This can also be done directly with conveyors and pipes by placing it 2 places in front, 2 to the side, and then rotating the belt or pipe with the mouse wheel 2 places. Now, as you unlock items, you can place them in your hotbar by opening your build menu, then whilst hovering over the buildable, selecting the hotkey that you want it to be associated with. There are 10 hotbars that you can assign in game. To cycle the hotbar, hold left Alt and then use the mouse wheel to scroll through them. These hotkeys can also be colors, opened by pressing X once you've unlocked it in the hub, allowing you to easily paint your factory. Now, if you want to quickly select buildables to place without cycling through your hotbar or build menu, you can click the scroll wheel to make active the item that you're looking at. This is a great way for quickly picking or copy and pasting items that you see in front of you. Regardless of whether you have a buildable or color as your active item, you can hold E to open up a radial dial, allowing you to select other items in that category. Now, if you have a foundation, wall, or roof at the time when holding E, you can also left or right click with the mouse button to show the different materials that you've unlocked, providing you've unlocked them in the Awesome Shop. Now, unlocking the Awesome Shop early is actually a great way to gain access to new materials and buildables to customize your factory. Now, you can also use coupons to buy stacks of resources. These can be really helpful in unlocking milestones quickly, or even produce equipment that will save you a lot of time. You should always send any excess resources that you are producing in your factory to the sink, those which are not being used or sent to storage. And there's 2 good reasons for this. First, it'll produce coupons slowly for you, and it will also keep your production constant so that your power levels won't be dipping up and down constantly. Now, if you want a lot of coupons fast, find drop pods while you're out exploring and take the higher tier items and sink them in the Awesome Shop. Drop pods also have hard drives inside them. By unlocking the drop pod, you'll be able to take that to your MAM to unlock alternate recipes that can be more efficient than the base recipes we have available. And speaking of recipes, you can copy and paste recipes directly to other buildables by pressing Ctrl and C whilst facing a buildable with a recipe selected, and then Ctrl V on another building, and this can also be used for other settings such as on smart splitters. And if you're overclocking, it will automatically link the overclocked item as well. To help working out your early game factory lines, you can use the search button, which is N. This can be used to do calculations, to look up recipes, or even select buildables to be placed. However, as your factories start to get more complicated, consider using websites like Satisfactory Tools or Satisfactory Calculator to work out the maths of your build for you, though they may take a little while to update when 1.0 is first launched. Sometimes the build hologram color can make it difficult to see what's being built where. Thankfully, we can change the color in the user interface settings. By changing it to a lighter color, it's much easier to see what's being placed where. Now, when running production lines, there are 2 main options. There's the manifold system or the load balancer. A load balancer splits the input of resources equally among all outputs, whereas manifolds are splitters placed one after another along a line feeding production buildables. Both are actually equally effective, though the manifold may take a little while to run at full efficiency, as all the buildables buffers need to be filled for it to run efficiently. Now the perk to the manifold though is that it's much more compact and quicker to build versus a load balancer. Now if you do make a mistake when building, Satisfactory won't penalize you. It's one of the perks of this game. You can activate the dismantle tool by pressing F. You can then delete individual buildings by holding mouse click, and you'll be returned the cost of the building. There's also a multi-delete which allows you to highlight multiple items at once holding left control whilst the delete tool is activated. And you can unselect items by pressing control again, and you'll delete all highlighted when you press the mouse button. Now on top of this, we do have the option to specify a single item to be selected, such as conveyor belts. So by pressing G whilst hovering over your reticle, whilst you have the build tool out in the dismantle mode, you can then multi-select all items of that type and delete it in one fell swoop. You can also use this system when painting, but we won't really talk about that. Now once you've unlocked blueprints, you'll also be able to delete a blueprint with a single click by activating the blueprint delete. This is done by pressing R when the delete mode is activated. This mode also allows you to copy blueprints by then pressing the middle mouse button when the blueprint is selected to be deleted. On top of this, blueprints can also be nudged and are great if you're looking to add intricate details to your factories. And for blueprints that I think everyone should take into their playthrough for 1.0, do check out my video. I'll put a link to that in the description below. Now before I talk about exploring tips, I should also touch on why some buildables can be clipped into other buildables, but not others. So some items have soft clipping, such as foundations. These allow you to clip into other items for artistic sakes, whereas other buildables such as constructors can clip into soft clipping items, but not into hard clipping buildables such as themselves and other constructors. Now, let's talk about some tips when exploring. So stackable poles and storage units can be great for climbing in the early game, or if you're out of that, you can use concrete if you've unlocked the concrete material for foundations, and you can just use concrete foundations. Now you should collect everything that you see. Most things you'll be able to research in the MAM and could lead to new recipes or equipment further down the line. You'll also come across many glowing slugs in your travels. Always collect them. They'll be used in the crafting of power shards, which will allow you to overclock your factory at a later date. The quickest way to get around prior to vehicles is by running, then sliding using C, followed by jumping again. This is even faster when you're using the Blade Runners, but it's incredibly useful to use with or without them. I also haven't mentioned, if it does get dark or you're in a cave, do press B to activate your flashlight. And then we have, as we're traveling around, gas plants, small rocks, the big boulders, and also the gas pillars. All of these can be destroyed using explosives once you've unlocked them, such as Nobelisk or the explosive rebar. Occasionally you will come across some vines that you can climb, and you can fall from any height and survive providing you have full health. Now when you've unlocked the map, you can also place markers on your map, which are great for telling you where drop pods are and what resources you need to unlock them to unlock their hard drives. Finally, when you do return with the resources from exploring, you can use smart splitters after a storage unit to send the various items either to storage or to a production line, such as slugs and leaves to constructors to be processed before being used in power production or being sunk or sent to storage. Now, if you would like me to follow this up with some more advanced tips to bear in mind throughout your playthrough, or if there's some tips that you're dying to share with everyone that I may have missed, then let me know in the comments below, or join me in stream on twitch.tv/Totalxclipse. But until next time, thank you so much for watching, guys, and thank you to all of our amazing supporters on Patreon who allow me to create content like this. Notably our Solo Clips Patreon, Firefless, as well as our Lunars, the Calamity, Star, and Ben, and our Blood Moon of the day, which today is Papa Snoozy. But until next time, as always, ciao for now.